This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome to the Elevate Construction Podcast, where we are trying to form a personal connection with everyone in the construction industry, learn from them, and share insights that will help emotionally, physically, and professionally. My name is Jason Schroeder, and today I will share a little bit about myself so I can better connect with anyone listening. So this is one of our Build a Little Better podcasts, but I'm going to use it to connect today so that we have a better relationship, you and me. So please share this podcast with anyone who might want this content, but isn't sure about the current delivery method. My purpose is to share about me in a way that will build rapport with you and scale the message and benefit everyone in the industry. So let me share a quote with you. To first build trust, we must know each other. To build trust, there must be rapport. So let me tell you a quick story. I remember going into an interview and then subsequent meetings with the director of construction at a university one time. And she just really didn't know what to think about me. She was like, you seem a little insincere, over the top, energetic, like, I just don't know. And I could tell. And she also would say some things like, I don't know if you're serious. Like, she was very forward. I absolutely loved her as a leader and as a person. She was fantastic. So I realized that in interviews and in meetings, I can come across and be a little bit much. And it was really eye-opening for me. It was hard feedback, quite frankly, but it was eye-opening for me. So I wondered, should I tone myself down? Should I show up differently? I decided against it because after somebody gets to know me, they know that this is who I am. So I have received feedback, and I'll actually share this because I want everybody to consider one day going through rapport leadership training. I was in a leadership breakthrough number 2 training, and the feedback that I got when working in the team, because the LB2 training really focuses on how to work within a team, about half of the people said, I need you to back off, you're in my face. The other half were like, why don't you step up and do better as a leader? And I was like, what in the world is going on? Like, I'm getting this conflicting information. But really, what I was there to figure out, and I did figure out, is that through teaching, educating, loving, being connected, serving people, 100% of people would accept who I am. But if I'm directing traffic, or I'm assertive, or kind of in your face, like making decisions, people, like half the people don't like that, half are okay with it, right? So I really had to come to terms with the fact that I can come off in a wrong way. But if you know my heart, you know that I really care about people and I really want to give. It just takes a little bit to get to know me, right? So I figured, let's just go ahead and do this podcast. It's a little bit narcissistic, but my purpose is to change the industry. To do that, we have to have rapport. So here's my story. And I've posted on my LinkedIn page my player card. And so I would like to mention that here when I close down here in just a little bit. But here's my story. So I decided when I was really young to earn my love. I was playing video games at like the age of 13, probably like most teenagers, just farting around, not doing much. And I realized that to earn my parents' love, I needed to get out to work. So I stopped video games. I went out and started cleaning the backyard. I organized a whole corner of our 2.5-acre parcel, started just doing things and being useful. And I received so much love and praise from my parents that I just became addicted to work. And so every vacation, every time off, any time that I could have outside of school, I would do that. I would go work. And in fact, I remember falsifying, and I hope the statute of limitations is, up on this, although it's not a big deal, but I falsified a work permit when I was 13 and a half years old so I could go to work. So I went to work for a company called Conco Construction. They were a tilt-up company. I was able to do flat work, concrete, form setting, equipment operation. I was a pretty good finisher. So I did well. I loved work so much and didn't like the systematic way of schooling that I tested out. I was like, I'm done. I'm going to go do the high school equivalency examination. I'm done. I'm out. I don't want to even wait to get a high school diploma officially. I'm out. So I went and did that, started working, and I worked hard, but I made mistakes. And I remember one of my first foremans just kind of joking with my dad, and he said, he works hard, but we don't give him anything sharp. And that was so true. I would work harder and faster than anyone, but I'd make mistakes. I'd trip on people. I remember during the tilt panel erection that when we were lifting tilt panels, I was always in the wrong spot. Like I was holding the braces and would always have to yell at me to get out of a pinch point, or a caught between situation. I was always just that kid, just stumbling through things and breaking things. But I eventually, learned how to finish concrete, set forms. I talked them into letting me operate equipment. I'm really good on a backhoe. I even brought donuts in every time I wanted to run the chute on pour days. And I was like, hey, I'll bring breakfast, but you can let me run the chute. I absolutely love doing it. So anyway, I worked hard and then I got a job as a finisher in the unions for Hensel Phelps as a finisher. And Hensel Phelps is widely known as one of the best builders in the entire industry. And I stand by that today. They taught me how to be a rodman, then a field engineer, then a lead field engineer. So then let me just fast forward a little bit. I'm learning this from other people doing really well, but then I start to fail, like I've told you about before. So I moved to Texas. I'm trying to be a field engineer. Trying is the right word for that. And I failed. And I realized that my success from learning from other people had only taken me so far. And I was about to get let go. That's when I got hold of the Field Engineering Methods Manual. So I started reading it over and over and over. And all of these problems started to go away. I mean, there's proper information for any field position that we have in construction. Started to be successful. And then I went to teach that for Hensel Phelps for about 7 years all across the country. And I had boarded a plane over 500 times to get around to my assignments in the country. And I do remember growing up, like stepping on people's toes, saying offensive things, just not being fully grown up, you know what I mean? But like really getting into the training aspect of things. And when I was done with that training, which was very fulfilling, I remember going in and helping with building information modeling, helping to pioneer some of those, then going to Intel, then working as an assistant superintendent, then project superintendent, then senior superintendent, general superintendent, then field operations director. And that's how I came through the trades to get to where I am now, all working through the field, working through experience, through learning books, doing certification trainings and things like that. And I never went to school. Well, actually, let me take that back. I went to school for a year. There was a point in my life when I was going to either be a doctor or continue my path in construction. Now, I know that's a stretch to think I'm smart enough to be a doctor, but I was seriously considering that. And I remember after a year of schooling, and I was getting straight A's and working at the same time, and I had 4 or 5 kids at the time and providing for the family, and my wife didn't work, so it was kind of stressful, but I was deciding, should I go down this road of, healthcare, or should I continue into construction? I felt like I could make a difference in construction and have a long and healthy career. One of the things that made me think about healthcare was that somebody said that I have a good bedside manner, that I really cared about people and that I could care about patients in healthcare. And I realized that you can do that in construction. All of us can. And so that was one of my main goals. My vision was take care of workers, take care of people. We can do this in construction. We can make a big difference. So let me tell you a couple of things. So when I first started out, I was a part of, and I'm ashamed about this, I was a part of putting my wife's father's company out of business. He was a Division 17 contractor on a prison, and I was assigned to document everything that they did wrong. And so we supplemented their work. Now, maybe it was the right call. I don't know. But I personally was vindictive about it and would document everything, had a clear-cut case, and they ended up going out of business and moving back to Texas. And I was very ashamed of that because large contractors should not treat trade partners in a way that would have them go out of business. Large contractors have the financial means to help small businesses and women-owned businesses and minority-owned business enterprises. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. And so I really was able to wake up in doing that. Because after that happened and that company went out of business, I moved to Texas, moved in with that family, worked with that family for years and years, and I saw the pain of the things that I caused. So that was experience number one. Okay. Another experience is my first boss that I ever had, and he taught me everything I knew early on in construction as a worker coming up through the trades. And I remember one day my wife told me that my dad had called to give me bad news, and then my dad got on the phone and said, "Hey, Ryan is dead." He was walking outside of a tilt panel, and his father was on a blade, and that blade was positioned properly, not properly, but in a way that it knocked him down and then cut off his head. And so this dad on this blade was operating this piece of equipment and cut off his head and had to deal with that. And I remember this picture of him on his bedside, just torn up and distraught, and just completely his life was ruined, knowing that he had been a part of this accident with his son. And I remember my boss's wife and his two children, and the fact that they were now left without a father, without a husband. And I was staying in their guest house. I was renting their guest house when I was working for them. I was really close to that family. I was close to the girls. I was close to his wife. And that really just woke me up. The family had no ill intentions, great family. They started a business so they could be together. And here this horrendous accident happened because of just a little bit of carelessness. Destroyed 4 or 5 lives, permanently destroyed, just gone permanently. And so that woke me up that we have to take care of people. We have to be safe. And so not only had I been through this ordeal of helping to put my wife's father's company out of business, and I hear that my first boss, my first friend that I love dearly, was killed by his father accidentally in a construction accident with no malice, no ill intent. And these things just woke me up. This is where I come from that makes me want to take care of workers and change this industry and bless people and protect marriages and protect lives and get people to take these things more seriously so that we don't get into these same situations. So when I talk about stories from these projects about trying to implement lean, or I go back to the research laboratory where we were really able to get it done. When I talk about the vision of what we're trying to do, I'm talking about a mission that we can all partake in and be a part of that will protect us. Because at the end of the day, we're not really going to care about the buildings that we built. We're going to look back on the people that we built. We're going to look back on the experiences that we had. We're going to look back on the people's lives that we blessed. We're going to look back on the people that we helped elevate through our careers so that they could be fulfilled and happy in their lives as well. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So at the end of the day, I really want to make a difference. And I'm asking that anyone that is listening to these podcasts join me in that mission because it makes a big difference. One life makes a big difference. One thing that we change for others for the good can make the difference in thousands of people's lives. And so I hope today I've built a little bit of rapport. I don't know that my story is very remarkable, but it's true. And in fact, I've kind of under embellished some of the stories. They're a lot more radical actually than I've even said. And they're a lot more profound to me in my memories. So here are some things about me. If you look at my personality profile for my Myers-Briggs, the first thing for an ENFJ says bringing out the best in others. And some of the things that it talks about for skills say authentic, benevolent, empathetic, relationship oriented. They trust in their intuition. They're inspiring leaders of people. They show appreciation and positivity. They need good relationships, camaraderie, integrity, loyalty to values. They're very skilled at mentoring. They're empathetic listeners. They're willing to get involved in relationships. They're warm, gracious, and charming. I'm frustrated by conflict and a lack of harmony, criticism, personal attacks, not being needed or appreciated. That's a big one. If I don't feel needed or appreciated, I freak out mentally. And so people need to call me out when I'm too focused on the human element or ignoring my needs to take care of somebody else's, or I'm working too enthusiastically in a burst of energy, or I seem to be agreeing with you too easily to keep the harmony. And if I'm internalizing the failures of others. So my little summary of life is that I'm on the earth to help others. I'm here to touch lives. I'm here to speak, write, communicate, think, fix, and build people and teams. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm not being successful. I'm not being fulfilled. And I'll close with this. My style as a leader is to win the war before going to battle, to have smaller, more nimble units and have an unlimited amount of options to adapt and react, to stabilize everything, have a zero tolerance for safety, cleanliness, and organization, to build the teams first, to make respect for people the basis of all decisions, to encourage transparency in all things, and to always do the right thing. So, this podcast is probably the most narcissistic podcast of all time. However, I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight into who I am, why I do things, and what my personality type is a little bit. So, if it does, great. And if not, I really do sincerely apologize for wasting your time. At the end of the day, I want to scale these podcasts. I want people to comment on them. I want to improve them. I want to interview as many people as possible. I want dialogue. I want feedback. And I want everybody trained with the best information that we have in this industry to go be successful and to live happy, remarkable, and fulfilled lives. And I can't say that enough. And we can do it. Just if you don't think we can do it, stop it. We can do it. We can affect thousands and thousands and thousands of lives. It works wherever we try it. Boot camps work wherever we try it. Training works wherever we try it. Anytime you get superintendents hooked on books, by the time you've met them again, they've read 19 more books. You can teach the concept of taking care of families. You can prevent divorces. We can make sure that we reduce the amount of injuries in our industry. We can make projects clean and safe and remarkable. We can have workers enjoy where they're going. We can build people. We can take, in fact, we did it the other day. There was a new worker, didn't speak English, 6 months out of coming from Mexico, started to operate the hoist. We noticed his intelligence, got him onto English classes, started teaching him field engineering, and now he lays out some of the biggest projects in Tucson. It can be done, and we're going to get it done with as many people as we possibly can, and that's our mission. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have a podcast topic, or if you want to talk to me, or if you have a criticism, or if you have feedback, or if you want to do an interview. At the end of the day, life is about giving, and I'm not being preaching here. I'm just telling you my opinion. Givers gain, takers lose, and I want to give first because that is the ultimate form of happiness. That is the ultimate form of happiness, is to give and to develop and to bless and to lift. And that's what we're trying to do. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.